I don't know about you guys, but the end of this season had me like... Season 4 has come to an end, and with it, another excruciating wait for next season. Although a Season 5 has not been officially confirmed, Ed Harris, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, stated that filming for Season 5 is set for April-May of 2023, so stay tuned near the end of the video for more theories on where the show could be headed. Now hold on to your pearls, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. P.S. I will be covering House of the Dragon next week. We've got a lot to cover. Dead bodies litter the streets after the world has descended into utter chaos. Last episode, we saw how host William used Hale's own audio transmitter to destroy the very world she created, resulting in the host-controlled humans going on a murderous rampage. William called this the final game, one in which only the strongest will survive, but as we'll find out later on in the episode, there's yet another game still to be played, and I'll get into that in my Season 5 theories later on. We see this fly hovering over a sea of bodies, a callback to how Hale used flies to take control of humanity. A fly is also present in the very first scene of Season 1, not to mention the entire series. Here's a face we haven't seen in a while. This is Rebus, who you may remember as a host whose storyline involved taking over the Abernathy Ranch in Season 1. This woman is just a random. He carries with him a baseball bat, which I like to think is a fun nod to the actor who also played Trevor in the Grand Theft Auto series, who used a bat on his enemies. Now that Rebus has been set free, he's loving this world William has created, but that experience for him is short-lived. I thought the direction was pretty cool here because once someone is killed, we follow their killer over and over again until we end on host William, who reiterates the rules of this world.
You know the rules. Winner takes all.
In New York City, Hale's dead body is picked up by a drone host where she's repaired quite easily. However, she wants a stronger body. This is where this old host model comes in. We've seen Dolores use this in Season 3. Hale wants to keep her face so William knows who it is when he's killed. Hale's command center at the top of the tower has been completely destroyed. Not only that, but William has locked her out of the system. We can make out Bernard's body over here, which has been moved. Was he moved by hand, or was it the explosion? What I find more curious is this mysterious second body. There certainly wasn't one there when we last saw Bernard. I'm wondering if this is Maeve. Either the writers are setting something up for Season 5, or they cut some scenes which showed Hale bringing Maeve's body up the tower and couldn't edit around the body being there. This isn't out of the realm of possibility. In the Season 4 trailer, we got this shot of Christina's eyes reflecting what looks to be the Abernathy Ranch, a shot which is absent from the show, likely because it got cut. I also like the chain link earrings Hale wears, suggesting that she is not free, she's always chained to something. A drone host shows Hale the recording Bernard made last episode, a recording which was meant for her. Bernard knew from his countless simulations that he would always die, so he had to think of a creative way to save the world even though he was dead. As we'll find out later, part of this plan included hiding a gun in the tunnel at the Hoover Dam. More on that in a bit. As we zoom in on a map of the city, we see Teddy and Christina among the city's dead bodies. These bodies are real, but she is not. She's merely a program running things from behind the scenes. But Teddy questions her idea of what real means. Just because you don't have a body, does that mean you can't be real? Christina doesn't have a body, but she has thoughts. Are those not real? The two of them look at the maze, which represents a map of consciousness. This symbol was used to awaken Dolores long ago. Christina thought it was Teddy who drew it there in the hopes that it would awaken her, but it wasn't him at all. It was Christina herself. Christina has been the architect or storyteller of her own life in this augmented reality of sorts. In fact, when Hale uploads her Pearl to the Sublime server, the data reads storyteller. So I think we can confidently say the Pearl Hale had buried under the map is some sort of Dolores copy. But how did did this pearl get here? There's still some debate whether all the pearls smuggled out of Westworld at the end of season 2 are accounted for. But we also never found out what happened to the Dolores pearl that Clementine and Hanario would have taken from the decapitated head from Musashi in season 3. It leaves a lot of room open for just how this pearl got here. You might also be asking yourself, if Hale knew this was Dolores, how come she didn't open the Sublime years ago? We do see that this pearl has the encryption key to open and close the portal between the real and virtual world. The answer to this question may lie in what Hale says to William later on in the episode, that she had planned to create a world even better than the Sublime in which the hosts from there would make the way to her own. She just hadn't made her perfect world yet, so she would have held off on opening any sort of portal. I could be totally wrong, but it was my interpretation that Hale took this Dolores pearl and instead of putting it in a body, put it in this virtual world. So Christina was thrust into this world with no memory of her past self, suggesting that it was wiped. But just like host memories in Westworld, those memories don't always completely delete. This may explain Christina's gut feeling that there's something more out there, hence why she has this feeling of searching for something. In an attempt to make sense of herself, she created friends through which she could voice her thoughts. These included her roommate Maya, and even Teddy, who we'll find out is merely Dolores's combined memories of him into a person. This could explain why he suddenly appeared at the end of episode 1, because that's when she started writing her story about a woman searching for something. The real Teddy is still in the Sublime, where we saw him at the end of season 2. So to put things plainly, Christina created a version of Teddy and others to help awaken herself as to who she truly is. It parallels Dolores's journey of self-discovery in season 1. Back at the tower, Hale smashes Bernard's recording. She knows what Bernard has told her is right, and by accepting this, must also accept her grand plan of a perfect world will not come to fruition. Everything she has worked for has gone down in flames. As Bernard says of Earth,
Life on Earth is a fire that consumes itself.
We even have Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire play as William drives toward the Hoover Dam. We know Christina's world, which I've suggested is some sort of augmented reality, is connected to Hale's device here in the tower, since when she stops down on it, Christina's world glitches. Teddy even says that Charlotte is coming to, quote, take them out of her system. Perhaps Christina is in this walled garden that Emmett talked about a few episodes ago, but Christina will not go down without a fight. As Hale retrieves the pearl, her world goes dark. Meanwhile, Caleb, Frankie, and Stubbs make their way through the hellish streets of New York, trying to make their way to Adina and the getaway boat. Frankie was shot last episode, and Caleb's cloned body is on its last legs. Remember, these bodies don't last too long. Even Hale had a comically large hourglass which simulated how much time their bodies had to live. Stubbs takes Caleb aside, and we learn Caleb hasn't told Frankie about how much time he actually has left. Caleb was never there for his daughter growing up, and he says the last thing he can do is use his remaining time to protect her. But they have pressing matters to attend to. If they're gonna make it to the dock, Frankie needs to get patched up. Hale makes her way through a massacred Times Square. Her line, "Look at what that asshole has done," referring to William, just goes to show how little a role she thinks she played in all this. Look, she made those towers, she enslaved humanity, and she also made host William, so it's kind of comical she's blaming it on others. Speaking of William, she visits his dead body at the Olympiad building, where she says he finally got what he wanted. Maybe this is why he let out that small grin as he died. Clementine appears out of nowhere, essentially telling Hale she's going to escape the chaos of the world and find a place where no one can find her. It kind of echoes where we first saw Clementine in episode 2, where she had chosen to live in a small secluded cabin in South America. Those pockets of the world where she could find peace are inhabited by the outliers, thus Clementine hints that she would destroy them. Hale, meanwhile, is after William, tracking him close to the Hoover Dam, where she sends a group of nearby hosts to slow him down. Among them is Craddock, who you may remember as working for the Confederados in season 2. He's actually one of the earliest hosts in Westworld and may even predate the park itself. But William proves to be too much for his assailants, taking them down with ease. This is actually the second time William has killed Craddock, the first being in season 2, episode 4, where he forced him to drink nitroglycerin. William retrieves some AR glasses from Craddock's corpse, where he has a brief interaction with Hale. Hale's on her way to the Hoover Dam in her EVTOL, or electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. It's the same kind of aircraft William used to arrive at the dam in episode 1. Hale confirms her suspicions that William is off to the dam to destroy the Sublime, but she won't let him destroy that world like he did her own. Because William's vehicle was trashed in the attack, he serendipitously finds a black horse to take the rest of the way. Back in New York, Stubbs barricades a local pharmacy where Caleb retrieves supplies to help with Frankie's wound. After all these years, he finally gets to have a drink with his daughter. And I gotta say, after watching Caleb's handshake like this, I wouldn't want him doing any sort of surgery on me. However, after Frankie tells him how brave his wife Uwadi was after he left, it seems to calm him, allowing him to pour some sweet hydrogen peroxide over her wound. The two of them sing Que Será, Será, which also happens to be the title of this episode, an apt choice considering one of the lines is, "The future is not ours to see." It's funny to think that in Caleb's mind, it's only been a few days since he last saw his daughter, but for Frankie, it's been over 20 years. Of course, Stubbs forgot to check the back door where this dude got in, a mind-controlled human who tells him that even if he is killed, it's only a matter of time before someone else comes and takes them out. And speak of the devil, it's Clementine who makes quick work of the two, killing our beloved Stubbs. Poor Stubbs had it pretty rough, having to wait for Bernard in a bathtub for a few decades only to die in a shitty pharmacy. It's kind of ironic he dies to Clementine though, as he killed Clementine back in season 1. For some reason, Clementine puts away her gun in exchange for a knife. Maybe she thinks this will be more menacing after she threatens to torture Frankie into giving up the location of the outliers. But Frankie won't give it up that easily, and just as Clementine is about to go in for the kill, Frankie's saved by Caleb. I thought it was pretty funny that the two fight behind a poster that reads self-care. Clementine is just too powerful for Caleb, and when it looks like he's going to get his head snapped, Frankie takes out Clementine with a perfect shot through the pearl. It's a throwback to when Caleb taught Frankie how to shoot tin cans when she was a kid. Hale holds Dolores' pearl as we transition to Christina awaking alone in what she calls the walled garden. But there's someone else here, her roommate Maya, who Christina created to have someone to share her thoughts with. Maya tells her that humans and hosts have a choice. They can choose to see the world as violent and chaotic, like Hale, or beautiful and peaceful, like Dolores. The world, for Hale and Christina, is the same, but the way they choose to see it is different. I like to think at the very end, when Hale strips off her clothing to bask in the sunlight of the canyon's great natural splendor, that she is, for the first time, choosing to see the beauty of the world. It's a tragically fitting end for her character, one which sees her take out her own pearl and crush it. William arrives at the dam and sees that giant tear connecting our world to the Sublime. For those of you who are wondering, only hosts can see this tear, as evidenced in season 2. He goes through the same tunnel we saw Maeve and Bernard go through last episode, and proceeds to the control panel where he closes the turbines used to power and cool the servers which store the Sublime. We'll see how this completely destabilizes the dam, with sparks going off in the electrical wires and the tear itself glitching. Hale confronts William, telling him he's been corrupted, but William says he's just a better version, a more evolved version than the real thing. When she tries to shoot him, William stabs her, realizing she's changed her body into the much more durable exoskeleton. The two engage in a game of cat and mouse around the dam, ultimately leading Hale to the exact location Bernard planted that gun at last episode. This is what Bernard meant in his recording by telling Hale to reach with her left hand to find something. By killing William and uploading Dolores' pearl to the Sublime, she is giving Christina the choice on what to do next.
Goodbye, Dolores. I made my choice. It's time for you to make yours.
I should also quickly mention that Hale crushed William's pearl, but knowing Westworld, it's probably not the last time we'll see him. In New York, Caleb and Frankie make it to the boat where Caleb opts to stay back. He'd be dead weight anyway. She doesn't want to say goodbye. After all, she just found him. But he reminds her that her real father died long ago. But at least he got to live out every parent's dream, to see their child grown up. The two part ways, and that's the last we see of them. them. Hale reverses the turbines and stabilizes the Sublime. The tear between the two worlds closes, and it's here we really start to see the building blocks for a potential season 5. The first thing I noticed here is the aspect ratio, signifying that they are in the Sublime. Christina believes she's here along with the other hosts, and it would make sense considering Hale just uploaded her Pearl to the server. The first big reveal, which I mentioned earlier, is that Teddy is a program based on all of Dolores' memories of him, a program to help Christina make sense of this world. This is why we originally see Teddy overlooking her while she's sleeping, and then it's revealed he's actually Dolores. Teddy asks Dolores to seek out the real version of him, to forget about the humans. The two of them can live together in a world without humanity's flaws. He goes on to say that humans are not like them. Their codes are written in cells, and thus they'll never change. But Christina isn't sold on this, and because she's seen the good and bad both humanity and the hosts have to offer, she decides one final game is in order. A test, if you will, to determine if any of it is worth preserving. Thus, Christina's final game is the most important of all, determining what and who will survive or go extinct. So while the real world slowly decays and any remaining human or host survivors die off, her game will continue in the Sublime. Teddy disappears. He has served his purpose, and Christina, now morphing into her true role as Dolores, notice her hair has turned back to blonde, rebuilds the Sublime just like the original Westworld. This new game, like Westworld, will reveal what will become of human and host. Will Dolores become this godlike figure, determining through her recreation and simulations if humanity and hosts are worthy of survival? The prize for winning, I would imagine, would be bringing them back out into the real world to reclaim the Earth. Remember that time works differently in the Sublime, so Dolores could technically spend our equivalent of thousands of years there before making her decision and having to come back. We learned in episode 1 that the generators at the Hoover Dam were recently retrofitted to last at least another 100 years with no maintenance. We also know that doors into the Sublime can be opened from both the inside and out, meaning theoretically if a host has the proper key, they could make it back to the real world and shut off the Sublime for good. The season ends back where season 1 began, that old-timey piano playing the same song, the Westworld train, this time appearing out of thin air, and Dolores walking down the crowded Sweetwater Street, wondering if this time we'll set ourselves free. It makes me question everything we've seen in season 1. Could this entire show just be one big Dolores simulation? We've merely been experiencing one of potentially thousands of loops created by her. Whatever it is, this acts like a complete reset, meaning many of the characters who were killed off can be brought back. Just how this plays out remains to be seen, but the showrunners have stated they like to make each season feel unique, and it seems like we're coming full circle for the show to end with season 5. But what did you think of the finale? Any big theories for season 5? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
Maybe this time we'll set ourselves free.